Beetles are a pretty strange group of insects. When most insects faced the problem of how to fly, they took the straightforward approach. Use wings. Take dragonflies. 2 pairs of wings, 4 wings total. Nothing hidden, nothing folded away, no complicated storage system. Open them. Take off. A very ancient design, but at least the instruction manual is only 1 page long. Flies took a different route. Only the front pair of wings handles the actual flying. The rear pair has been reduced into 2 small sensory organs called halteres. They vibrate rapidly along with the wings, constantly detecting changes in the fly's body rotation. When a fly makes a high-speed turn, stops suddenly, or changes direction in midair, the halters quickly feed those changes back into its flight control system. So while other insects fly with 4 wings, flies use 2. The other 2 got stripped down and converted into onboard gyroscopes, and that gave flies an ability you may find extremely annoying. Sharp turns, sudden acceleration, mid-air U-turns. Basically, they can fly wherever they want. And somehow, they're always just a little faster than your hand. Beetles took wing modification in an even more aggressive direction. Over the course of evolution, their front pair of wings gradually became hardened, eventually forming the structures we now call elytra. You can think of elytra as 2 hard-shell phone cases. The real flight wings are the hind wings, which are stored underneath. And if your daily routine involves crawling under rocks and squeezing into cracks in tree bark, that protective shell is extremely useful. Soft flight wings left exposed all the time would get damaged very quickly. So what do? Fold them. But not just in half. A beetle has to take an entire large flight wing and fold it section by section along specific crease lines. Some parts fold sideways, some fold diagonally. Some areas keep collapsing in fan-like patterns. Eventually, a pair of wings that originally looked almost too large for the body gets compressed underneath 2 small wing covers. And somehow, it gets worse. You cannot just shove the wings in there. Because the next time the beetle needs to fly, those wings have to unfold quickly. They cannot be tangled, they cannot get stuck, and they absolutely cannot experience the ultimate problem humans face every time we try to put a tent back into the bag it came in. Wait, how did this thing fit in here 5 minutes ago? Because otherwise, the next flight could become a very short career. But if we're talking about the true wing storage masters of the insect world, we need to temporarily bring in an outside specialist, the earwig. Earwigs are not beetles, they belong to the order Dermaptera. Yes, this is the animal with a pair of forceps on its rear end that, at first glance, looks like somebody forgot to install the wings. But it does have wings. It just compressed an entire flight system into a zip file. The leathery front wings on an earwig are almost comically short. The real flight equipment is the enormous pair of hind wings hidden underneath. When fully opened, they look like 2 semicircular folding fans. The problem is that all of that wing has to fit underneath those tiny little front wings. So simply folding them in half is not going to work. An earwig's hind wings fold along a large number of preset crease lines, using both fan-like folding and transverse folding. Layer by layer, the entire wing collapses inward. Some earwigs can reduce their wings to roughly 1/15 of their fully expanded area. That is roughly equivalent to taking a 6-foot Costco folding table, folding it up, and putting it inside your car's glove compartment. Completely unreasonable. Insects are generally small, surrounded by predators, and under constant pressure to survive long enough to reproduce. So different groups have evolved some fairly extreme solutions. Some tortoise beetles took a very serious approach to their reproductive equipment. Their reproductive systems became spectacularly complicated. Inside the female is a long reproductive tract, tightly coiled like a ball of yarn, eventually leading toward the area where sperm is stored. After mating, the female can continue using stored sperm to fertilize eggs over time. Basically, she carries her own sperm bank. So what does the male do? He has to upgrade his equipment too. Some evolved an extremely thin, extremely long mating organ capable of traveling through this complicated internal route. And when it is not being used, the whole thing has to retract back into the body and coil up inside. Basically like the automatic retractable power cord on a vacuum cleaner. Except this time, it's a penis. My limited supply of brain cells has difficulty imagining what this arrangement would feel like if humans had evolved the same system. Fortunately, after millions of years of sexual selection doing whatever it has been doing, our own evolutionary history did not end up quite this ridiculous. Meanwhile, Bombardier beetles chose science and built a chemical factory in their rear end. When threatened, Bombardier beetles in the genus Brachynes can spray a hot, irritating chemical mixture from the tip of the abdomen. The spray can reach temperatures of around 100 degrees Celsius. That's about 212 degrees Fahrenheit, basically the temperature of boiling water. So the biggest engineering problem for a Bombardier beetle is very simple. Do not cook yourself, because if the system fails, not only does it fail to scare away the predator, It has also very thoughtfully completed part of the cooking process. The solution is to keep the chemicals separated until they are needed. Only when the beetle needs to fire are they sent into the reaction chamber. Inside, valves and pulse discharge help control pressure. So, in other words, the beetle's rear end does not just contain chemical storage tanks. It also has a reaction chamber, pressure valves, an exhaust system, and a nozzle that can be aimed at the enemy. Of course, beetles do not actually think about any of this. No beetle has ever sat underneath a rock holding an engineering blueprint and said, "I think the next generation needs another pressure valve." Evolution is not an engineer planning everything in advance. It is more like somebody repairing an old machine in a garage. It never takes the entire machine apart and starts completely over. It keeps whatever parts still work, then continues modifying the existing system. Add a hard shell here. Add a few more folding creases there. Make one tube longer. And finally, install a high-temperature chemical reaction system in the rear end. As long as the machine keeps running, the modifications continue. So beetles are not necessarily nature's cleanest or most elegant designs. They are more like what happens when a mechanic gets 300 million years, an unlimited supply of spare parts, and absolutely no adult supervision. But that may be exactly what makes evolution so interesting. Nature does not give out design awards. It does not care whether your wings look elegant when they fold. It does not care whether your reproductive system is easy to explain. And it definitely does not care whether your defense mechanism violates every safety regulation in a legitimate chemical factory. It checks one thing: does this design keep you alive long enough to pass your genes to the next generation? Beetles are not the most perfect solution. They're simply one group among all the ridiculous solutions that managed to survive until today, and some of them still have a boiler in their butt.